What's up, wrestling fans and YouTube fan? Welcome back to the channel for another edition of the DaVon Lewis Show podcast, where we keep everything all nitty gritty, everything so saucy in the land of professional wrestling. Thank you for making this our channel your go-to spot for weekly wrestling breakdowns, hot takes, and everything in between. If you're new here, go ahead and smash the like button, turn on all post notifications. More importantly, thank you guys for coming through for this weekly review for this episode for AEW Dynamite for May 14th, 2025. We just concluded live from the Now Arena in Hoffman Estates, Illinois. Let's get into the Breach Rate post-show review, which is concluded on Dynamite. Appreciate you guys coming through. Let's go ahead and get into the show. Appreciate you guys. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Breach Break officially kicks off with the first match. We had Will Ospreay and Hangman Adam Page defeating the Don Callis family members of Kanesko Takesha and Josh Alexander in a great match, a great back and forth. I had enjoyed the whole entire presentation of how this transitional tag team match took place. It was everything that you really wanted. I had enjoyed it, and it was good stuff in my own personal opinion. I'm continuing to love how things continue to pick up between the Don Callis family, as well as Don Callis' former colleagues of having Will Ospreay, and of course now he has backup when it comes to Hangman Adam Page. But in overall, I look forward to seeing the continuation of the outstanding feud. More importantly, it was good in my book, and I look forward to seeing how things continue to progress in the next few weeks. But of course, we get to the breakdown of the post-show after a miscommunication between Hangman Adam Page and Will Ospreay. They got into a heated face-to-face off, but they got blindsided by Takesha, and Alexander seized the moment to attack them, but Ospreay fought back, hitting Alexander with a hidden blade, following with a suplex on Takesha. Even with all the chaos that actually happened, he ended up accidentally hitting Hangman Adam Page with the forearm. Of course, the referee stepped in to break everything, and then Ospreay was trying to explain what had happened, but he walked off in frustration. But it's going to continue to be interesting to see what actually happens between those two men, if they can get on the same page, or are we going to have a serious collision course between Hangman Adam Page and Will Ospreay. But I truly look forward to seeing what may actually break down. And as well as is the Don Callis family going to get off the hook? Only time would tell. We just got to tune in and see what actually happened. But it's still good in my book, and I look forward to seeing what may actually take place. Then we get to the backstage, ladies and gentlemen. Alicia too, she's actually now working as she's interviewing Top Flight, Layla Gray, hyping up their match against the Hurt Syndicate. Dante Martin warns MJF to stay out of their complete business, and he says if he bites his nose off, while Darius vows that he'll beat the Hurt Syndicate and set their sights to become the next tag team champions. But of course, they was highly interrupted by Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, who stepped in, and Rhodes encouraged Tough Light to take a double stand on this and be motivated to take on that Hurt Syndicate. But he added the more pressure said they'd be watching the match closely and see what will happen as things continue to push forward throughout the night on Beach Break. Then we get back to the action, which was calm, cool, and collective. We had Ricochet versus Zach Gowen. I know you guys are like, wait a minute, Zach Gowen? Yes, the one-legged wonder who has been killing it on the independent scene, and now he's back on American television in a big way as he went toe-to-toe with Ricochet, but came up short. But in overall, it was a great match. I had enjoyed the way how things had transitioned very well. They had a great connection. More importantly, Ricochet was doing a great job as being a true heel. I'm loving the true persona that he has. This is probably his best character work he has done in quite such a while. But in overall, Zach Gowen held his own up. You can say pretty much Ricochet got one leg up over the competition and sealed the fate afterwards. But post-match, he put the beat down directly on Zach Gowen, and this proceeded to have Mark Briscoe run down to make the save to stop further damage from Ricochet taking advantage and laying out Zach Gowen. But in overall, kudos to those two men. I look forward to seeing the future match between Mark Briscoe and Ricochet, and it's going to be a good one. Now it's time for the AEW World Tag Team Eliminator Tag Team match, as the Hurt Syndicate members of Bobby Lashley, the Almighty, Shelton Benjamin, the Gold Standard, defeated the likes of Top Flight's members of Dante Martin and Darius Martin. It was a lot that took place. Top Flight held their own. It was great. I enjoyed the flow of the match. It wasn't pressing too slow, but in overall, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin took care of business, and they was able to come off with the victory. But after the match, we end up having, of course, who was watching closely, as I revert back to what happened earlier, the Sons of Texas, Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes came out. They confronted the Hurt Business. Well, not the Hurt Business, the Hurt Syndicate. But MVP says Lashley and Benjamin won't fight them out of respect of Dusty Rhodes. As tensions rise, we got another tag team who came through. Crew, which is Action Andretti and Leo Rush, who interrupted. Action Andretti warned Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes to step aside because they want to challenge the tag team champions. And of course, Leo Rush respectfully challenges the Hurt Syndicate for the AEW World Title shot. Playing on his WWE history with Lashley, Rhodes fires back, telling Crew to wait in line like everybody else. MVP said, we're going to decide a #1 contender as the Sons of Texas and Crew are going to get it on like its own at Saturday's AEW Collision, where we're going to have the winners will earn a shot at Double or Nothing in Phoenix to take on the Hurt Syndicate. Speaking of the continuation of what broke down, they stayed directly in the ring, and it was time for the final decision of what was breaking down with MJF by joining the group. MJF comes out, and initially, Shelton Benjamin has to go get him. But then things broke down over time as he actually comes out. Things broke down very quickly, and he finally got that thumbs up from the Almighty. He gets all super excited, jumping up and down like somebody that's just won the lotto. He hugs them, embraced them. Bobby Lashley pushes him off and let him know, like, yo, I'm not feeling that, not too much. You need to calm it down. And then, of course, he tells him next week, we will sign his official contract for being a part of the Hurt Syndicate. And we shall see how next week turns out. Hopefully they don't get too bad or too good. But you know, when it comes to AEW this week, it's been good so far. Then we get to the AEW Women's Title Eliminator as Mina Shakira defeated Toni Storm, Sky Blue, who was returning, and AZM. It was a whole lot that took place. It was great action between these four ladies. Mina put on a clinic. She did everything she basically could possibly do. We've seen a new theme song from her. How you guys are feeling about it? I'm feeling about it. It was calm, cool, and collective. Seeing Mina actually getting that victory. Now she's officially part of the AEW banner. She was doing her thing. Still had a little bit of strong style to her. Toni was holding her own, but she had a whole lot to say afterwards. Toni ended up getting the microphone. She gave Mina a, well, you did great, kid. Good on you. But we already know we're getting the match scheduled for Double or Nothing. It's going to be Mina Shakira versus Toni Storm for the AEW Women's Championship. And you know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be good. And I look forward to seeing what may transpire, how things continue to pick up. But Double or Nothing is starting to stack up with the card. And we know how things were breaking down. AZM, she held her own, but she was being helped to the back. And she was blindsided by Mercedes Moné. And then, of course, she put that bank statement directly on her and handled business until Jamie Hayter made the save to put her in the crossface of her own. Jamie draws her up, about to hit that lovely Hayter raid, and of course, security breaks it up to make the save. But Jamie Hayter made a statement and let her know, you're not skipping past me. You can focus on other people, but you got to get past me to win that Owen Hart actual memorial tournament if you want to get that shot at All In. But then overall, it's gonna be good. I look forward to seeing what may happen with these ladies. Mercedes actually was looking good this week, everything still continues to be in the swing of things. But if you haven't been in the know, she lost one of her championships over the past weekend. We go break it down for you. Pretty much she lost her New Japan Strong Style Championship. It was one. Now she's down to 3 belts. We got to see what ends up happening over the next couple of weeks. Is she going to go all the way down to 1 championship? But for the time being, she's still running strong with 3 championships for the time being, and it's going to be good. Then we get to a tribute for Sabu. Great by the commentary team that pretty much did their thing. Taz was open-hearted about what he felt about the whole career. He said if it wasn't for Sabu, he wouldn't be where he is. And he had a couple of little videos that came through, and it was overall great from what I had seen when it came down to him. Then we had MJF. He was interviewed backstage, and he was so stoked about being a part officially in that Hurt Syndicate. Once his lawyers look over it, which is Mark Sterling, and goes over the details, he'll sign the contract. And of course, MVP looked upset at the introduction and refused to shake hands with Mark Sterling. Max asked if he would sign a contract without having his lawyer to look over it, and he admitted he wouldn't. And he was in a jolly mood, and he's going to see what happens next week. Then we get back to the ring. Tony Schiavone, who's in the ring talking to Nigel McGuinness, talking about Collision from this Thursday. Nigel says that he'll make a quick and pretty much get to the point. He wants to apologize to no other than Daniel Garcia. He comes directly out. Daniel Garcia makes his way out. He's playing to the crowd. He's doing his he's a little bit more serious, but it's all calm, cool, and collective from Daniel Garcia. Nigel let him know his ego got in the way between the best of them, but it caused Daniel the victory and the winners to move on. But the bottom line, from the bottom of his heart, he wants to apologize, and he has places at the announcer's table, not in the ring. Then Garcia says he has apology to himself because he did exactly what he was supposed to do after FTR disrespected him. FTR comes out and tries to intervene with the whole entire situation. A whole lot breaks down when it comes to FTR after trying to get them off guard after Stokely Hathaway came out to interject himself alone, and then they came directly out afterwards when things broke down. Of course, Dax tried to take things out apart and try to go back and forth, but things continue to go on the quick end after everything. And of course, we gotta stay tuned to see what may happen with the full overcome of the situation and see how things are handled directly in a big way. And of course, after that, everything broke down. Guess who came back? Big Daddy Magic Menard made the save after FTR blindsided both McGuinness and Daniel Garcia, and they had backup. But the situation, who's going to be joining FTR in this whole entire drama? We got to stay tuned to see how things continue to progress. And overall, it was a great little segment. Now it's time to dive directly into the main event of the night. It is for the AEW World Championship under the stipulations of a steel cage match. Jon Moxley defeated Samoa Joe to continue this reign of terror of throwing the internet wrestling community off course, having them highly upset after a man with a hoodie handed Moxley a briefcase, blasted Samoa Joe, and secured that 1, 2, 3. Things really was off the rails at that point. But things really broke down when they revealed the mystery man. It was Gabe Kidd who actually came out, and he was at the ramp. Claudio distracted Hobbs, and then of course from there Gabe Kidd uppercutted him into the gentleman's area. Then from there they continued to go from there as the Young Bucks made their entrance as Marina Shafir helps the bloody and battered Moxley to his feet after he had a brutal match. That match was great as you possibly can get. Lucas offers a hand to the world champion, but of course before that you got the chance to Who comes out? Kenny Omega ready to fight. He V-triggers Willa Yuta. He brawls with Claudio Castelloni. He nails him to the barricade, but of course Okada catches him off guard and threw everything off completely. He ends up throwing Kenny Omega into the ring, and then Matthew Jackson has a remote control and they lowered the cage. Then they proceeded to beat down on him until things really broke down from there. But the situation really picked up. We had the other members when it comes to ops coming out there. We had a whole lot of other talent that actually came out there as well. But the biggest pop was no other than Swerve Strickland. He came up there, handled business, did what he needed to do, cleared house, and pretty much, you know how that goes. The heels went scaring off. All the faces came back in the ring and got together and huddled. And of course, Swerve Strickland issued the challenge to Anarchy and Arena at Double or Nothing. This seems like the same play of a match you always get at Double or Nothing every single year. I had the luxury of being there last year in Las Vegas. It was great. It was everything you could get for. But Phoenix is going to get a great show 100%. When it comes to the overall presentation, you got everything that you really wanted when it came to tonight's show for AEW Dynamite. But there you guys have it for this week's edition of AEW Dynamite. It was a solid show for this week. The score was out of 10. I'm going to give it an 8.3 out of 10. Some great in-ring work. Some great action off the board. The storylines continue to move forward towards Double or Nothing. But in overall, it was a good show when it comes to Beach Break. The biggest thing I'd like for you guys to know, post your comments down below. Hit that like button. If you enjoyed this review, it would do a great diligence if you guys show your love and support if you made it to the end of this review. But don't forget to subscribe, and more importantly, catch more wrestling content or any of the other content that I have available. I have news, sports, all kind of stuff. Or if there's anything else you'd like to see on this channel, feel free to hit me up. I have my direct email directly in the description down below. Until the next episode, you guys are always great. We're on the road to 4,000 subscribers. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.